welcome to MedTech Unboxed.
Thank you, Steve, for inviting me.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to our conversation. I had an opportunity to meet with you probably a month ago and learn about Enlil, and I think it's pretty amazing end-to-end solution for bringing MedTech devices to market. So I'm really glad to have the opportunity for you to share the story and the solution with a greater audience.
Sure. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you again for inviting me. Looking forward
Abs-
to our discussion.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it and tell us about the origin of Enlil and kind of the evolution. And I know you have some pretty good customer momentum going too, if you want to share some of those examples.
Sure. So, Steve, we came out of ShifaMed. ShifaMed, for your audience who may not know, we are a Silicon Valley-based MedTech innovation hub. Today, we have total of 8 companies, which is all in this campus where I am. 5 of them are focusing on devices for cardio. These are all class 3 MedTech devices. We have 2, which is working on eye diseases, mostly glaucoma. And so all these companies, of course, they have to build the product, they have to test it, but more importantly, they have to be ready to submit to FDA and other regulatory bodies. So based on the requirement, our chairman went and looked at the solution for a software solution to help basically these companies through this whole process lifecycle. And basically, traceability is very important, again, for this business. And they didn't really find the solution, which, covers the entire gamut. So what they did was that they went and they built something from scratch, which eventually became the Enlil. So Enlil, we probably have over 200-person year of effort, has been using internally for the last 3+ years. And very excited to start it, March of this year, 2025, is when we start really offering it to others in the medtech industry. So that's how Enlil came about.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you saw great success within the ShifaMed portfolio, and in March, you're bringing it to the broader market. And it sounds like you've already had some wins in the broader market.
Correct. So first of all, on the ShifaMed company is very excited, as you saw on the paper, one of our customers, which is also a ShifaMed portfolio company, Supera, they build a catheter-based heart pump, as you know. So we are very excited to helping them. They were able to actually raise $120 million not long ago. So that's fantastic. The other ShifaMed company that we're working very closely with is Acura. Acura, again, just recently was announced. They raised about, I think, $56 million. So really excited to see, these customers working with us, getting their products out the market and so on. But we primarily focus at 3 different groups. First of all, we are 100% focused on MedTech, but they have, they wear different hats. So first of all is the OEM. So who are the OEMs? Are the people who put their logo on the box. Again, Supera and Acura is a good example of OEM. We also sell to contract manufacturers. So these are medical contract manufacturing companies who are building devices for other medtech companies like Supera and so on. An example of that is Evolve. Evolve is a manufacturer here in Silicon Valley. And then the other group is other medtech innovation hubs. For example, there's one here called T45. I think they have about 5 or 6 different companies underneath their umbrella. We're working with all of those. They have been our customer for some time. And last but not least, we have a lot of medtech consultants. So they could be an FDA consultant, they could be a manufacturing consultant, they could be an electrical consultant. They're all using our product. But again, our focus is 100% on medtech. And again, this technology came from medtech for medtech. So that's the reason I think we're having so much success in this industry.
Yeah, great. You mentioned the word traceability and how important that is from ideation all the way to commercialization. So maybe you can kind of talk about the end-to-end traceability and the solution.
Sure. So let's talk about the journey. The journey
Yeah.
starts with, hey, what is it I'm going to build? Am I building a mammogram machine or the next catheter or next whatever, right? So the first thing is what we call your requirement management. So capturing the requirement management, that's the piece that we offer. The next thing is, again, is the quality management system. People call it EQMS, which is basically you have to capture all your documentation. You have to capture your corrective action, preventive action. That's another piece. Then you go basically to product lifecycle management. So this is your bill of material, right? So, and by the way, it could be hardware, what we call the BOM, or it could be software, which is the SBOM, which is software as a software, bill of material, so that you have
Right.
to capture all that. And last but not least, you also have to tie this into your financials, right? Also your suppliers and so on, right? So we have a whole what we call manufacturing and financial module that allows you to issue POs, look at all your suppliers, also your equipment management is really important. And last but not least is really what we call the post-market data, right? So after you even ship this medical device to a customer, how is it doing? What are the issues you're seeing? So that market intelligence is also really important, not only to make sure your product is safe, but also as you're building other revision of the product, that it continues getting better and better. So again, we provide the entire gamut all the way, again, from the concept all the way to post-market. And the beauty of our solution, again, was built for MedTech by MedTech, right? A lot of companies, Steve, as you know, who are doing what you're doing, they started in aerospace or semiconductor, and they're trying to find their way in MedTech. MedTech is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
The second thing that people really like about us, the fact this is all unified. You do not need to hire a bunch of what I call IT plumbers to connect all these different tools together, because that's very expensive. And the fact that it all comes in one unified system is important. And then last but not least, we have this new solution, which is AI based, that we call Lilly, which basically looks at all your data and all the attachment of data and come back with some nuggets and really help our customer leapfrog and get to the market faster, better, and with a safer product. That's really what the top three things that we are focusing on.
That's amazing that the full integration in suite into one solution is a game changer. And are there some, you talked about some of the AI agent Lilly, are there some metrics that you might be able to share for reducing errors or increased efficiency or whatever it might be?
Exactly. So, we have basically, we see two type of customers. Customers who are small, they don't have much data, and they may have put this on Excel or Google Drive or so on. When you're small, it's okay to do that. But as you're growing, the joke that I make is that when the genie leaves the bottle, it's very hard to put it back in the bottle,
Yes.
right? And we see this. And so, they're very easy. But we also have bigger customers that, hey, they have been working with another legacy system for 2-3 years, and they have all this data. And then, okay, well, what do I do with this data? And how do I look for the right data? And that's where AI really comes in. So AI really does three things for us. Number one is the search, right? You're asking Lilly, hey, which equipment I'm using? When was the last time it was upgraded? Who was using it? And when was the last time this operator was trained? So this is type of information you can ask Lilly. Or, hey, tell me all the POs that I issued the last month, right? So boom, you get that all that. So that's number one. The second thing Lilly does is that they start generating reports for you. So I may say, you know what, create based on my based on my requirement, create a test protocol, and it does it for you. Or create a quiz so I can test my operator, make sure they know how to operate this system. That's fantastic. But where really the exciting part is what we call the agentic AI. Agentic AI, think about it as a self-running program which wakes up in the middle of the night and it does something for you. For example, agentic AI should be smart enough to say, okay, end of the quarter, I need to ship 100 units, right? And hey, looking at your supply chain, you do not have 100, you cannot build 100 units, right? Mr. CEO or Mr. Head of the Operations, here's a purchase order. You need to approve this now, right? So agentic AI is going to, what I call, it's going to be like your coworker. It's continuously looking things in the background and bringing it to the operator to say, hey, this is what you want to do. Now, I want to say something about AI, which is really important. So our AI uses private LLM, and this is really important. Unlike ChatGPT, that whatever you put in there gets exposed to everybody else, and sometimes what's called hallucination, because it also digests garbage, right? Our AI, Lilly, basically only works with your data, the customer's data. That data does not get exposed, and it also does not bring in data from other places, so it doesn't hallucinate. So again, this data, of course, is very sensitive to our customers, so it stays within their own four walls, basically. Yeah.
Nader, you said something interesting. And anybody that's been on, in a manufacturing environment, deadlines, critical, parameters, metrics, and you can like stay at night at, you can lose a lot of sleep at night thinking about these things, but it's pretty cool to think that you have this assistant that's doing that to say, hey, you need to get that order out quick to meet the
That's
demand.
correct.
That's a game
Yeah.
changer.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I want to, so somebody says, how come, you guys are so successful? What is happening? And you may see this, Steve, in your business, is that we see a lot of, what I call surgical robotics. That is because, we see a whole bunch of them, right? And it's interesting because some of the key patents in surgical robotics expired. So you see more and more people are jumping to this. Now, surgical robotics are pretty complex. Number one, you have a lot of electronics, you have a lot of sensors, you have a lot of mechanical parts. And guess what? You have a lot of IoT, Internet of Things. And then also AI is going to play a big role. So what happens is that these devices are getting very complex, right? You no longer can do this with pen and paper and Excel. You need to have systems like us, which ties it all together and really allows you to do what we call the end-to-end traceability. And it's really audit ready for compliance and, really all the way from concept to all the way commercialization. You can see what's going on, right? So that's the reason we're having a lot of success with those complex devices because of we bring it all together in one single view.
Good example. We often talk about the more novel catheter technologies, and they often include the integration of electronics and polymers and metals, and throw in, you know, surgical robotics, and it's even another next level of complication to manage. So that's a great example, Nader. And that Lilly agent is pretty fascinating. I'm really intrigued by that. I think it'll reduce a lot of
We have done
stress.
some, we are actually surprised how smart Lilly is getting. Give you an example.
Yeah.
We have a customer who is based in Japan. And one of the questions he asks is, well, does your system speaks Japanese? And guess what? Lilly speaks Japanese, right? We do not, but you
Yeah.
give it the spec and does it in Japanese. And, the customer looked at it and said, well, this is pretty accurate what it's doing there, right? That's one. The other one, which I was very impressed. So one of the companies we were working with, they had a lot of legacy electronic circuitry. And the engineers who designed this has left the company, but they have been using these boards. And one of the questions was that, hey, can I give the schematic to your system? And the system, hey, tell me, what does it do? How do I test it? And basically give me the net list. And I said, oh, we should try this. And we give, a schematic to Lilly. And Lilly basically does that for you, which is like, wow, this is pretty cool. I started my career as a chip designer way back when. And, something like that, it will take me 3 to 6 months. Now, Lilly does it for you in a matter of less than a minute or so. So it's
Wow.
amazing
Wow.
how smart the technology is getting. And you know what? This is really
Wow.
going to help, because I feel MedTech is probably 5 years behind high tech because of all the regulation and compliance. And really our goal is to help our customers, leapfrog, right? And that's what our customers are telling us. They say, hey, I can see my productivity jumping by 35%. I have much less
Mhm.
errors, right? When I'm ready to submit to FDA, I'm confident that everything has been checked, right? And those are huge values that a system like this can bring to the table.
Yeah, especially at a startup, and the burn rate. You can't, these mistakes. It could take half a year. You make one mistake, and there goes 6 months.
Exactly. You go
Or it
back in
could
the
be the
penalty
company.
box, right? So you have to
Yeah,
come back
exactly.
again. And by the way, you're right. If you're a small company, you may not have the cycles or the money to come back again, and that would be
Yeah,
disastrous, right? So yeah.
right. But you need the traceability at the same time. So yeah. Awesome. Let's talk a little bit, Nader, about the business
Mhm.
model on onboarding and
Sure.
then scalability. I know there's a subscription type based platform, right? If you want to go through some of
Sure.
those.
So this is a SaaS, software as a service. It's
Mhm.
running on, in our case, is running on AWS, Amazon AWS cloud. So very secure. Uptime is 99.9% or whatnot. So it's pretty good. And the nice thing about it is that our customers are spread across the globe. Like we're working with a company which have engineers in UK, in Australia, as well as in Southern California. And the beauty of being a cloud-based solution, they can all work on the same design. So we have in our business model, we have two type of users. We have what we call editors. These are the people who are creating documents, right? And then we have what we call viewers or approver. For example, the CEO could be a viewer or approver. He's approving videos and so on. So basically price is based on two models. we have small as 5 people in a company which is using our product. And then we have a company which is 400 plus people. So system, the nice thing about it is it's scalable. So again, you can start small. There's no minimum, and you can, as you grow, of course, you buy more licenses as you go on. So the second part of the question is on the onboarding. Again, it depends how much legacy data you have. If you have no legacy data or small amount of data, we get our customers up and running in a matter of a couple of weeks, with the training and so on. But we have customers who have, as I mentioned, data for the last 3+ years that they want to bring into our system. We have a whole professional organization, which is their job is to basically map whatever you have in your system and get you up and running. So those are basically the model that basically we offer our customers. And then the other thing I want to talk about, our software is validated. So that's another thing customers need to show to FDA or board or whatever that, hey, this is a validated piece of software, and we also provide that to our customer base.
Is that validation? Is there a certain ISO
Yeah, it's a
standard for?
13485 is the validation
Okay,
of that
it's
software,
okay.
which is, as you know, it's a required. And now, as you know,
Yeah.
FDA is really pushing down the whole QMS and so on as well. So that's
Yes.
that is really the what we offer our customers. They want to see this. And by the way, we have done many audits now. Well, our customers have done many audits using our solution, and they all passed with a flying color. So we're very excited about that, right? So it's a proven solution. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like like you mentioned earlier, kind of a global implementation. If you have different divisions worldwide that can be supported.
Yeah, the example I used, we signed the customer. This was like a couple of months back, and we met with the VP of engineering, VP of operations, and VP of quality. And they say, hey, look, when we were small and we were building maybe 50 units a year, we all had our own data sheets and our own Excel sheets and so on, right? But they said now, the good news is that our business is ramping up. Guess what? We can no longer do this on Excel, right? We need a system which ties this all together, and we can all look at the single view of the truth, right? So that's a value we bring in. And by the way, the system allows you to not only look at the data going forward, but also backward. Like, God forbid, if you have a recall, right? Hey, look at what we call the LHR, your lot history record, right? These components which failed, which lot did it came from, right? So I can go ahead and, take care of those very quickly before start getting to the market, right? So those are examples of the flexibility of the system. One other thing I want to add is that as much as we try to be everything to everybody, we can't, right? So give you an example. In the case of mechanical, people use either Onshape or SolidWorks. So we have integrated to that. In the case of financial, people want you to tie into Bill.com or QuickBooks. So we have integration to that one. And last but not least is your ERP package. One of the things which we see very popular is NetSuite. So we are integrated with NetSuite and so on. So again, the nice thing about system is that not only it's easy for us to bring data into our solution, but also easily can work with your existing environment, right? So we see a lot of value in that as well.
Yeah, the SolidWorks and Onshape, the 3D modeling, design softwares, that's pretty interesting, as well as everything else. Seems like you could bring the whole,
Correct.
suite into the solution, and that's for managing drawings and projects.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because again, as I mentioned, you have multiple disciplines looking at the same set of data. They want to be able to do trade-off. Again, going back to Lilly, redlining is a big thing. Like if I give you 2 mechanical drawings, can you tell me what's the difference between A and B? Same with my netlist, right? So those are the things that AI is perfect, right? You can look at, hey, what is the ECO, the engineering change order from revision 1 to revision B? Boom, it will just tell you right away. And that makes life easy.
Gotcha.
Instead of doing it by hand, like I used to do when I started my career way back when.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Awesome. I noticed on the slide deck that you shared a couple weeks ago, your team, you have just a world-class team, right? Do you want to talk about a few of the members?
Sure. So I want to start with our
CTO.
chairman, Amr Saleh, which has been in the MedTech for the last, I think, 25 plus years. He has already sold 6 of his MedTech companies. And as I mentioned, he has a total of 8 today that he's working on, very well known in the industry. understands the problem from A to Z, which is fantastic to have it. But the other players, we have a gentleman which was the head of AI at Adobe and Oracle, which is Jeremy, which is our CTO. Charu Roy, which is the what I call a chief product officer. She comes in. She has done this in 4 different companies, including Oracle and Conformia and Agile and so on. By the way, when you build a software second time, you get really good at it. When you build it 3 or 4 times, you get really an expert on it.
Yeah.
We have a team in India headed by Sharad, which also comes from Oracle. And last but not least, our VP of marketing, Tomer, comes from the customer background. So he understands the customer issues. So we are roughly about 50 people. Most of us are here in Silicon Valley. We have a team in India. We have a team also in Europe, as well as in South America. And the reason for that, Steve, is that this is a mission critical application. Our customers are working around the clock. So we need to be available 24/7 to support them if they have any questions or any concerns or they need help, right? So that's the reason we have a global presence as well.
Okay. Excellent. Well, that sounds like a great team. Talk a little bit, we'll wrap things up. I want to get your thoughts on kind of the emerging trends in this space with AI insights and breaking down silos and, when you're developing and bringing a medical device to commercialization and while you're navigating the kind of the regulatory landscape.
Yeah, so we see more and more AI-based med tech companies, so that is a big issue for us. By the way, when I'm talking about like suppliers, if you're a software med tech company, your suppliers could be other software companies that you're buying modules from. So you need to manage all that, right? So we see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of what I call personal or digital medical devices. Again, your watch, your ring, and so on is watching us all the time, and and so on. We're working with a company which is working on women health. They're building a personal quote unquote mammogram. Instead of the ladies go to the doctor only once a year, they can check themselves at home in a regular basis. So God forbid if there is something, they can address it very quickly. So we see more and more shift from going to the hospital coming to personal, right? And AI is going to play a huge role in this area. We're working with one medical device company which is doing a cancer detection. So again, they're using AI, and very quickly they can find out what the issues are. So the good news is that for us is that I think we're all going to live longer because we're seeing a lot of really interesting medtech companies, and some of the things they're doing is fantastic, right? So you'll be able to detect things much sooner than going to the hospital after the fact, right?
Yeah. That's amazing. It's just another reason why this medtech space is so great opportunity that we all have to be within it and working with people like you and AI and all these new solutions that are really going to prevent reduce trauma, longer lifestyle, better lifestyles, and live longer, right?
Exactly. And by the way, it's, in my career, if I look at it, I worked and my career has always been providing solution to engineers and different discipline. I started in semiconductor. I went to electronic boards. I even sold to software for oil and gas, which they were interested on safety and security. But I'm having most amount of fun right here. And, on top of that, I feel really good because at the end of the day, we are helping companies to build equipment which is either saving lives or improving lives, right? So this is much better than some of the other projects I was working on. So it's an exciting time. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm right there with you, Nader. Thank you so much for joining. This has been fascinating.
Thank you so much, Steve.